one of the points you made earlier on was really spot on, actually, about the fact that careers aren't linear. Well, was it you, Chloe, or was it Claire? I can't remember. Yeah, about careers not being linear, and they change. And I'm absolutely all upfront about the fact that relatively recently I took a turn, which I feel for me has been so much more positive. But I know other people might look at and think, well, actually, was that a bit sideways or not, or down? And genuinely, for me, it was much more important that I got back to the thing that I was more interested in, and it's been a very positive thing. And your career is so much more complicated than what pay you're on or some other metric. So yeah, you've got to think very clearly, I think, about what is it that you're trying to achieve, what is it that's going to make you more satisfied and, dare I say, happier. That's the important stuff. Okay, so continuing to think about that, learn from the past year, but actually stuff that's happened. You can't change it. Just get on with it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I think for me, it links to a lot of what I've been saying. The good thing about fellowship is it's about this kind of external aspect. Sometimes you can be somebody who's got really great ideas, who's doing really good things, but internally, the people who directly around you it's not what they want you to be doing, right? So it's not, as I said, helping the business metrics. And I think the biggest disappointments I've had have been having to change the environment I'm in because the metrics that I was with didn't necessarily align with what I thought was the right thing to be doing. And obviously there's learning that goes along with that. So you can't always be just doing altruistic things and saving the world. You've got to be making somebody some money at some point. But I think it is really challenging, especially if you're thinking at the level of fellow, you are probably somebody who's thinking about how you influence and how you can kind of change cultures and change people. And if people aren't being changed and are in fact really resistant and think that your vision is not the right thing, that can be really heartbreaking. But as Rich says, you've got to grow your island. I think Rich told me this once. You've got to grow your island that you're on. And regardless of the seas around you, and you can just move somewhere else. So yeah, that is a bit depressing. Can you end on something positive?
It's not depressing. It's I mean, yeah, engineers are practical, aren't they? And you deal with the hand that you've been dealt. But I think it is important. I mean, what you just said, Clay, it's like you shouldn't put up with something if it's not actually the right thing. You can still, there is always an opportunity for change, and it isn't as linear as I don't know, I think maybe the way I've come to sort of assimilate it over the years is when you start off with your career, it does feel very linear. It does feel like you're going through the grades, you're going through this, you're going through that, you're getting a car, you're doing all these things. And actually, as you go through, the things that are important maybe do change. And you should be open to that idea of change, but controlled change that maybe you've got some control over, not change that's happening to you because you're not steering. Thinking about what is the direction I want to move, why is this the positive move for me?
Yeah, I agree with that. So so promotions don't always get you the ability to do what you want to do. So having more authority doesn't necessarily give you more autonomy, right? Sometimes sideways is the best way to kind of gain back control over how you want things to be. I definitely have found that.
Yeah, and I think as well for me, like one of my biggest, I don't know, regrets or mistakes was not doing some things that I was passionate about, and I regret not having done them. And actually, in hindsight, rather than letting someone else make that decision, okay, if it's not what the company agrees with, if I'm passionate about it enough, I will make the time for that, whether it's working other hours or taking the annual leave to go and do something I'm super passionate about, or finding somewhere that supports me in doing the things that I do want to do. And I think probably all three of us are in happier places with that these days, because we are all pursuing passions and interests and work-life balance, perhaps.
Yeah, but also, if you do find yourself somewhere where the culture does need to change it.
Yeah,
You know,
being part of that change, very much
yeah,
so.
absolutely. We've all found that you can lead by good example as well, not just by title. So being a great example drags people along with you, and you show them how you've made their life easier by being more efficient, or you've made their life easier by doing something in a certain way, or it's just better.
Yeah.
And it's worth that investment. So yeah, push, but do it in a directed way.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a great point to end it on as well. A great message that we're saying, yeah, you can be the change you want to see, as has been said by much more famous people than we are. You were probably better at writing speeches as well. So you know, take away something from this. Hopefully that you can, you know, tread your own paths to fellowship. They don't have to be the same as ours by any means, but there's lots of different paths you can take. Don't be fooled into thinking you've got to have the right job title, the right authority. There are lots of different ways of being a positive influence on the industry, being strategic, being influential, and changing things for the better, which is what fellowship is all about.